Introduce you to someone that you know well already, Ed Sullivan, the Ed Sullivan.
The Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, and always was. A former New York assemblyman. And I was rereading your bio last night, too, because you've done a lot of really interesting things. You've always been an advocate for the people.
I've tried,
It's true, and a successful one. And as we look at the race now, there's an interesting race in New York we were chatting about for a minute.
Yes.
But also for president, how long does the GOP have before it must come and be clear about who their ticket is going to be and what their position is on the issues that are important to Americans?
Well, they have to narrow it down to 2 or 3 top contenders by September, I would think. And because now summer's coming and people sort of take a step back. But I think in September they'll be ready to go. And they have to be hitting the ground running by winter. So I would say by September they have to do it. But they have to have 2 or 3. I don't think they have most Republicans, and I'm a Democrat, of course, as you know. I don't make any bones about it.
Card-carrying.
Yes, card-carrying Democrat. But most Republicans that I talk to don't have it clear in their mind who they want. I think a lot of people like Huckabee because he's very solid in bedrock America. I think that, however, that's when you're looking forward, you want new ideas, new things. I don't think Huckabee speaks of new ideas and new things particularly well.
What about Ron Paul? Talk about grassroots support. I never saw anything like it in the last go, where millions of Americans out there, it seemed, would flood your email box every day asking, when are you going to have Ron Paul on?
Ron Paul is a guy who speaks very frankly. And he cuts through a lot of the hypocrisy of this country. Every country, you understand, every country has a certain amount of, your ideals are here, your behavior is here, and there's a gap between the two. Ron Paul cuts through that gap possibly better than any major political figure in the country, I think.
In terms of perception or in terms of position?
He takes position. He says, this is what we believe, let's act upon it. And I think that's what people are yearning to hear, and that's why he gets a lot of support that way.
Would he stay as a Republican, and is that the strongest position for him to run as a Republican, or do you think if he didn't get the nod, he would run anyway?
I don't get the impression he would run as an independent. He's not a Ross Perot type person. I think that he would run as a Republican if he can get it, and if he can't, then he won't. I don't think he'll take vice president. The vice presidential nod.
Doesn't seem, from talking to you and Doug, anybody is willing to take the vice presidential
position. Huckabee would make a great vice presidential candidate, because I think he would bring in a lot of people who may be disappointed with the presidential candidate, but would consider him
could bolster somebody else's candidacy.
Their foot in the door, right? But I don't know. I think and there's a couple of people. I think Jeb Bush is still lurking, from my point of view, lurking in the wings. But
he says no.
He says
I've
no.
asked the question.
He says no now, but you know.
But he, no doubt, one of the few governors that has ever left a surplus on the table.
Reasonably successful governor and political family. I don't think he'll have money problems. So I think that Jeb Bush is definitely a possibility. I think that the fellow from Indiana, not my cup of tea exactly, but I think he would appeal to a lot of Republicans because he's what they call a small government Republican. And
what about